Hey YouTubers, we are assembling the Bohning Helix tower fletching system. Apparently this does 3 fletches at a time, which is kind of cool, with a 3-degree helix with up to 2.5 inch fletches, any vein style. So when I got this in the mail, you get a lot of pieces. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle, but you get a decompressing lever, 3 inserts if you want your veins a little higher or further away from your nock. You get 5 different inserts for different sizes of arrows, all the way up to crossbow. And then you get the base, which is all spring-loaded. This moves back and forth, as you can see. And if you want the spacers just go right on top like that, and then you mount the fletch holder onto that part, which we'll get to. Then you have two different types of or size of slides. I'm not really sure which one's appropriate here, but this is an installation video. Oh, and you have 3 adhesive protectors for your fletch holders. So let's get to installing this. We'll move these to the side. It also comes with these little teeny Allen fitted screws. Comes with 3 long ones and then 1 kind of fatter one that goes in the bottom, which we'll install this one first. I have decided to use this size base, this size base for my Hunter Gold Tip Expedition Hunters 557s. This one's already been fletched. That fits perfectly on there. So let's move these spacers to the side because we will not be using those. Now the best way I found to install your base is to move those out of the way, push these back and slide that in. Then take your decompressor as you flip it over, and you'll notice in the base there's a notch here. There's no notch here, no notch here. And with this there's also a little, well, let's call it a raised part that goes towards the floor. So as you put this in, you slide it in and then kind of create some pressure here. You can see how that works. It moves everything back and forth. Then I take the screw, slide that through, which now holds that into place. I'll put my finger there and turn it around. Everything's held. I'll take the other piece, which is now kind of jammed in there, and I'll put it over the screw, which, as you can see, hopefully you can see now, is right there. And again, you can use any of those pieces, and I'll slide that over, and I'll just hand tighten it down. Now once that's tightened down, you don't want it overly tight because then it'll hold this in too far and this won't move. But I'm going to give it a little bit of a torque down here, just a little bit more. Okay, so hopefully that moves just fine, which it does. And you'll notice here, when you move it all the way over, it actually clicks open. So now this is all spaced out, and you'll see why we'll do that in the end. So installing our fletch holders, this takes a little bit of jockeying around because I didn't want to take these out of these holders because I was afraid I was going to break the plastic. So what I did is I flip it over, and I notice on the bottom of them, it's hard to see, but there's a little place for this nut to just fall into place. So you kind of put it in the bottom and it falls in, and now it's kind of invisible, but that holds the nut for tightening down. Then I'll actually install my screw first. So I'll put my finger on top of that screw and I'll slide that in, and I'll just do a couple twists till I feel it in my finger. And that's good enough for that one. Then I'll move to the next one. Put the nut in, grab my screw. It's kind of a balancing act. And then I'll screw that in as well. And there's a reason why you can do these without putting that fletch holder in, and I'll show you why in a second. Take my other screw, there's 3 of them, and I'll screw that in. So now we have this all set up. Now if you'll notice on these, there's a little notch and a slot. The nice thing about this is that once you turn it over, you lift up on this, slide that in, and then find the slot, and then you can tighten this down. So I'll go to my other Allen wrench, put my finger behind it just to hold it up, and then you just tighten it down. And again, this is plastic, so you don't want to crank down on this at all. It's just to stabilize it. Okay, so that's tight. Well, probably could be a little tighter, which I'm going to do. Okay. This was down in my saw room, and so it's a little dusty with sawdust. Okay. So you're probably better off getting an Allen wrench that isn't attached to an entire clump of other ones. Okay, so that's snug, firm. Again, it's plastic, so if you over tighten that, things can break. You have to be careful with that. So with these, I'm going to actually send them down almost to where they're at the butt base now. I learned on that first one. Take another one, lift up on it. So we'll get that one out of the way. This one tips. And we'll lift up on that one, slide it in. Not too far. Slide it in and let it seat. Then go to my Allen wrench again. Go ahead and tighten that down. Get that one out of the way. And again, snug, not tight. Same thing on this one. I'll lift up, I'll slide it in, I'll seat it, and then I will gently tighten it down. And almost there. Okay, so now all these 3 pieces are put together, and we'll open it up. That creates a little space for the arrow, and this is where you would rest the fletching inside there with a 3-degree turn. And this is this arrow, obviously I already did, but that would slide right in. And then you would close this, and then once that's closed, ready to go, you release this, and you would slide this over. I'm not sure which one. I've got to look that up and find out which one slides over. You might do both of them. So that's the assembly. We'll get to fletching in a minute. Okay guys, back again. Oh, by the way, I bought this whole system on eBay for $59.99. Super fast shipping. Very, very happy. I've just installed one of these glue protectors. These are kind of neat. They're metallic. They feel very metal-like when you peel them off, which allows it to conform to the base. It comes off like that. Then I find the middle and apply it like that. I'm assuming I'm doing this correctly. But because of the metal feel, you can see how it kind of wraps around, and then I after I push it down kind of tight and move it in with my finger, I wrap that around. I'm not sure if you're supposed to clean these off first or not, but I've got a razor blade here. I'm going to cut a slot. So here's the third one. I didn't realize there was going to be this much installation with this, and that's why I'm doing the video. A lot of this is pretty easy to figure out, but if you're just starting out, this might help you. Same thing with this one. I'm applying the tape, push it in nice and clean, then wrap it around. One side, then the other side. And I'll make sure that's nice and seated. I'll take a razor blade. I didn't really say this in the directions, but I'm going to do it. And I just cut a slot all the way down. And all the way up, so it has plenty of room for the fletching to fit in. So there is that. And honestly, I don't know what these 3 screws are for. I'll have to look in the directions, but I'm not 100% sure. The next video will be using this. See here, yeah, so that just falls down and that holds it nice and snug. Apparently you can do 2, well, looks like one's large and one's small, and that's how those work and how that moves back and forth. And looks like it's ready to do some arrows. So the next video we will do is actually fletching some arrows for the first time. I've never done that. Thank you.